If you had the power of invincibility for one day, what risky activity would you do and why?
Oh my gosh. That is such a good question. What would I do?
I love it when I hear that. Oh, that's such a good question. Those words are music to my heart. Beloved Mama, my name is Misty Hughes. I am your tried and true mom mentor, your gratitude guide, and I am a celebration coach. I love walking alongside of young moms on their journey of discovery. I love to get you thinking about who you are, who you want to become, and what you like to do, the values you have, the life you envision yourself leading a year from now, 5 years from now, or even just tomorrow. Well, that's what happens during today's conversation with marvelous Monica Ellis. Monica and I have known each other for over 7 years. I've had the privilege of walking alongside of her as a friend and mentor on her journey as a single mom. I've experienced the joy of watching her meet, get married, and now start a family with the love of her life, Jeremiah. Monica is a tried and true boy mom. There's Seth, who's 11, Jaden 9, and Josiah, who you might hear in the background from time to time. He is just 3 months old. Join Monica and I today as we just chat over coffee. You're going to be inspired by her journey, and I know time and time again you'll find yourself saying, "Oh, yeah, I get that. I'm living that right now." Monica opens up and shares her challenges as a new mom, as a mom with older boys, as a wife, and as a daughter of the King of Glory. Come and sit with Monica and I. Enjoy your favorite beverage, or as you fold laundry or wrangle up the kids to drive them to their next summer activity. Let's dive back into this conversation as Monica answers the first of many questions. What would you do if you were invincible for a day?
What would I do? I don't know. I want to say something super crazy artistic, maybe. It sounds silly, but maybe do a big painting. I don't consider myself artistic. I just think that would be a fun expression and just not worry about anybody's opinions or just do something really fun and creative.
Now that sounds fun. Are you talking about like wall art somewhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like just
Yeah.
some big, like murally
Yeah.
thing and just like express yourself in a big, big way.
So, what is your favorite movie right now? What does this movie say about you? But
Oh my gosh. My favorite movie, we watch a lot of kids' movies. So I'll give a kids movie. I really love Inside Out, the emotions movie. It's all about emotions. But I also really love Pride and Prejudice. That's like one of my favorite because it's so romantical.
do you like to be celebrated, Monica?
Oh my gosh. I'm realizing I never thought I was like a gifts girly, but I'm kind of realizing that I am. And it's not like expensive gifts. I learned this in my marriage. I didn't realize this in friendship groups. When he comes home with flowers or something, I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I feel so loved and celebrated.
That is lovely. Isn't it amazing what we discover in marriage?
Yes, it is shocking the things I've learned from being married that I had no idea before. Right. Good and bad things.
My husband Craig and I are usually working on a book together. One of the books that we were reading and going through said, "Marriage is the one relationship that will shine the light on every unresolved issue from childhood."
I could see that. Absolutely. You think you're prepared for marriage and then you just get married and there was deep, deep insecurities I had no idea about until I got married and there was somebody challenging those insecurities. Lots of things came out.
Monica, as a woman navigating all different aspects of life, wearing a number of different hats, what is one thing that keeps you moving forward?
I think the one thing that keeps me moving forward is really like journaling to the Lord. I love to pray and like encounter the Lord that way, but I can get very scatterbrained and thinking about other things or falling asleep. So taking the time writing it down just keeps me centered and kind of my eyes locked on Him. It's a tangible thing for me.
What does your rhythm of journaling look like?
I love to get up in the morning before my kids and I'll have coffee. I light a candle and just sit in my living room and put on worship music. Sometimes I'll have a verse that I'm meditating on or a Bible study, but I just kind of just sit there and just write whatever's in my head and my heart and put it all on paper, just getting it all out of my brain and just
And
being very real and vulnerable with the Lord because He knows what I'm thinking and my emotions, anyways. I'm also an outward processor. So sometimes that just helps me to kind of figure out, oh, that's what I'm feeling, especially when anxieties or fears come up.
learning what works for you and what you need is a very important aspect in living, leading, and loving from a heart of abundance. So, way to go. Monica, I'm a celebration coach and I love to celebrate other people's wins. So, tell us about a win you've experienced recently.
I took all three of my boys to the pool. I packed up, I made lunches, and we drove out and hung out at the pool for a good like hour and a half. So that felt like a huge win. It took a lot. I was really proud. I've had to work on kind of not doing things because it feels challenging with kids. I know you've told me this when my older boys were really small. So I'm working on that now, especially with an infant. I'm taking on the mindset no matter what we do, we can bring the baby with us. So, yeah, going to the library, the pool, all of that, just making that the norm instead of like, oh, sorry, we have a baby, we can't do anything. It felt good.
Yeah, I bet. What's a new challenge that you faced this last week?
I'm in a transition with my job. The challenge has been this unexpected stay at home mom life right now during the summer and having all three boys at home and learning my capacities in that. Learning like the cadence and the rhythm of a newborn. He's a little over 3 months. So learning what our normal looks like is challenging. Having multiple children and finding ways that I can connect with all of them, especially my olders, when my baby is so young and so needy. That's been my biggest challenge, trying not to create jealousy amongst them. It's just been a big adjustment. We have seen some, oh, you don't love me as much. You don't care about me. You always pick the baby, making sure that my older boys still feel seen and loved and cared for, even though my youngest has obviously so many needs. So yeah, that's been something I've been navigating.
How are you navigating that?
I'm trying to just reassure them. I think that's been my biggest approach is just constantly reassuring them of like, no, I do love you. Like the baby just needs something. And I'm trying to carve out time to just spend just with them, like just with both of the older boys or just individually one on one, which just takes creativity on my part. Luckily, I have the best in laws ever. And so my mother in law will watch the baby for me so I can go spend time with the older two. But at home in our day to day, it's just a lot of reassurance, a lot of communication to them that like, I still love you. The baby just needs his diaper changed. And I know they get that, but I think it still kind of hurts their heart. It just takes a lot more planning and a lot more execution on my end. Luckily, I have that time right
Yeah.
now. When I go back to work full time, I know that is going to be an adjustment.
As you're sharing, the word resilience comes to mind. Now, resilience is the ability to bounce back. Resilience involves the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and challenges, to withstand pressure, to maintain or regain a sense of balance or well being despite experiences and setbacks. And what you're describing is an opportunity for you as a mom to help develop your boy's ability to be resilient. I didn't have the language for it as a young mom, but I wanted my children to be able to bounce back, to get back on their feet because Monica, as you know, and as all of our mom listeners knows, troubles are going to come. Our kids are going to be disappointed. We're going to be disappointed. What does it look like to help our kids develop this resilience? I remember when my youngest son was probably, I don't know, 12, 13, we had single mom crisis after single mom crisis. Our air conditioners went out. We couldn't use the water in our house, and it was going to cost way, way more than I had the capacity to pay for. But my youngest son came up with this plan. He was like, hey, mom, we can do this for our laundry. We can do this for showers, and we can do this for the heating. He showed resilience in the face of all of these adversities. So that brings me to yet another question, Monica. I know your mama's heart, and you do not want your boys to experience disappointment. And yet, you know, it's a real part of their lives. They're going to feel disappointment. They're going to feel like they're not enough. They're going to feel unloved, and probably at some point they might even feel unlovable. So, how do you build resilience? How do you teach your boys to bounce back and step back into truth?
Modeling it for them, like modeling what resilience looks like. So making sure that I'm walking in that and that they are seeing that I'm being resilient, that I can be upset, but I'm not going to stay upset and I'm not taking that on as my identity. And that's something we're working on, that they know that they're more than a conqueror. Jesus loves me, this I know. It's like a cute little song, but it's different when you're 11 and 9 and dealing with harder things to really understand Jesus loves me. He wants what's best for me.
And you are so right, Monica. Modeling this for our children is the best way to equip them. I didn't tell my 13-year-old son what resilience was or how to be resilient. Over the years of dealing with different crises and different events, my children had witnessed what resilience looked like and the power of stepping back into truth and stepping back up to the plate.
I think that's what I'm trying my best to do. We've made a safe space in our home to feel our feels. That you can feel mad and you can feel upset and you can feel discouraged, but we just don't stay in that space. And not in a fake way, because that's what's hard is you can like try to put on a happy face, and I don't want that.
What does that look like to create a safe space for them to feel their feels?
I have told them that they
Okay.
can express themselves, but also checking myself to make sure that I am not coming across with my body language that I'm uncomfortable with their feeling. And I think that has been something I've had to learn and even do soul searching for myself from childhood trauma and heal my inner child, that I'm okay with my feelings. And so my children can be okay with their feelings around me. If they start to cry or get upset, I don't push them away, like, go to your room, you can cry in your room. They can cry in front of me. They can be mad in front of me. But I just feel like it's showing them, like, I'm not afraid of your feelings, but let's just process through them together. And then we always kind of circle back and talk about, like, what were you mad about? What were you upset about? I say, I wonder a lot. So instead of just being like, what are you mad about? I'll say, like, I wonder what you're mad about, or I wonder why your face is like that. Even just little things, they'll like make comments with the baby. Like, I feel like you love him more. Oh, I wonder why you're feeling like that. Sometimes I notice if I ask directly, like, why do you think that? I feel like it can just come across as like interrogating, sort of. And I do notice my voice will shut down. But when I say, I wonder, I don't know what it is exactly psychologically, but I just feel like they are more willing to open up with that kind of language.
Okay, that is brilliant. I love that. You're coming with curiosity and inquiry instead of a spirit of judgment or accusation. Wow. I think I'm going to try that with the people in my life as well. But I do wonder, is there ever a time when it is appropriate to send your boys to their room?
I think so. I think the biggest thing with having the boys go to their room is them understanding that I'm not sending them to their room because they're too much for me. Just acknowledging it looks like you're having a hard time. If you want to go to your room to calm down, when you're ready, you can come back out. I just had to do that yesterday because my boys were fighting. It's like, okay, it looks like you guys can't get along. So why don't you go to your room and you can calm down and then come back? In my most present motherhood, that is how we try to handle it.
Monica, that's a great awareness. in my most present motherhood. I wonder, how do you, as a young mom, stay in your most present motherhood?
So, circle back to a previous question, getting in my Bible time in the morning helps me. Honestly, just getting up before the boys, even if I don't have like 30 minutes or anything, getting up before my children helps me so much because with motherhood, the moment we wake up, somebody needs me, especially having an infant. Like the moment I wake up, he needs a diaper change or he needs to be fed. The boys need to eat breakfast. They're asking, what are we doing today? If I can get up and just be Monica, that helps me so much. And it really helps me to survive like the rest of the day. It just feels like fresh grace that I get in the morning. I notice a difference when I do that as opposed to the days that I don't. If I'm not feeling filled up, I cannot pour out. And I'm just like, everyone get it for me, and I don't want to do that. I want to be a present mom. I want to be an intentional mom. And I am not always the best of taking care of myself first. So I am learning the art of that.
Monica, this makes my mom mentor heart really happy and very excited to hear you say that. So I just want to pause for a moment and honor and celebrate the wisdom that you're walking in. I've often sat with young moms and encouraged them to just try to wake up before their children do in the morning, even if it's just 5 minutes. I love how you put it. You said, it lets me be Monica before I have to be mom or wife, before I have to care for what everybody else needs. You have the opportunity to get rooted and grounded just a bit. And sometimes that's all you need because His grace is so sufficient. But when you wake up in the morning and give yourself that time and space, it makes a huge difference. And I love your testimony of how you're experiencing that. Now, Monica, I want to change the direction of our questions a little bit because you're not just a boy mom. You have a husband and you guys are kind of newlyweds. So how do you be a present mom and invest in your relationship with your husband?
It is so funny. And I think this is a very specific single mom into marriage issue, we'll say, because I, for a very long time, and I'm still in it, don't know how to be a mom and a wife at the same time. I know how to do motherhood and I know how to be a wife, but at the same time, I'm like, this is hard. I am still very in the beginning. I'm like a toddler in that because I'm really learning how to give attention to my children and still give attention to my husband, whom I literally love, like borderline obsessed with him. Like just, I love him so much. But yeah, it is this weird balancing act of figuring out how do I give attention to everybody who is needing attention.
What does it look like to be a wife and a mother at the same time?
It's so funny because I think like on an outside perspective, somebody like looking in on my life, it looks like I'm doing it. It's almost like I have a pie of love, which is not true, but it's like I have a pie of love. And if I give two slices to Jeremiah, then I have two left, like less slices to give to my children. Cognitively, I know that that's not how love works, but for some reason, that's what I think.
Oh, man, that does sound like a big challenge. Knowing in your head what is true, but walking it out is another story. How are you doing with that?
I am acutely, just strongly aware of my children feeling neglected, abandoned, not seen, not heard, because that comes from my childhood. I was raised by a single mom growing up. My mom struggled with alcoholism. So she was neglecting. I never want my kids to feel like I chose somebody over them, even though it's my husband and it's their stepdad who loves them. I have to be very cognitive of what is actually going on in actual feeling and what is my own trauma coming out. When I was pregnant, I needed to nap. I would feel so bad about it because I was like, my kids think that I'm neglecting them and I'm being a bad parent. But in my case, I'm just taking a nap because I'm pregnant. I definitely have to just be aware that I'm not putting my trauma onto my children. I want to parent out of abundance. I want to parent out of love and safety and just caring for my boys, and not parent out of fear that I'm going to mess them up, or fear that they're going to grow up and need therapy, and fear that they're going to grow up and not follow the Lord. I feel like that's a big fear of mine.
Monica, as we wrap up our time together today, I want to draw attention to what you are doing and back to the very first question I asked you. You mentioned that if you were invincible for a day, if you could do anything you wanted without fear, that you would paint a big mural. And I want to acknowledge today that you are doing that. You are creating with God this beautiful mural on the hearts of your sons and with your husband and your family. In the 23rd Psalm, we say, lead us in the right path for your name's sake, to bring glory to the name of the Father. I just really want to acknowledge the things that you've shared today, the struggles, the celebrations, the triumphs, and the tragedies. They're all creating this beautiful mural of what God is doing and the testimony of his goodness in your life and the lives of your family. So thank you for sharing with us the beauty of who God is in your life and how you are intentionally learning the art of balancing all of these roles and wearing all of these hats as a young mom. It truly is a challenge. And you truly are learning to seek him, to lean on him and not your own understanding. And I know that your story brings hope to other moms who are in the same season of life that you're in. As we wrap up today, I would love for you to share, what is one thing that you need?
Oh my God. Well, I told my husband I needed lots of cuddles and words of affirmation from him, and some flowers. That's the biggest thing right now. And after I get off the call, my mother-in-law is going to take my baby, and I am going to go spend some time with Seth and Jaden. I think that will be really good.
Now, Monica, I know that there are some women that are listening to this that might want to reach out and just say, hey, I get it, or learn more about your journey. How can we get a hold of you?
I'm very active on Instagram, and my handle is at It's Monica XXOO. I share lots of fun things over there. I share lots of stuff with my kids and mom hacks and stuff like that. And then my husband and I have a podcast called Arrows Podcast. We talk about dating and blended family, just kind of sharing it while we're in it, kind of a thing. We talk about our therapy sessions on there. Those are my two biggest ways to get a hold of me. It's just fun to come hang out.
I will attest to the fact that it is just fun to come and hang out with Monica. To ensure that you're able to do that, I will include her Instagram account and her podcast link in the show notes. That's all for today's Mom to Mom Mentoring episode. Monica and I hope that you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Remember, amidst the hustle and bustle, don't forget to prioritize God. You deserve it, because he truly will add all these things unto you. If our conversations resonate with you, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more. And why not spread the joy? Share this podcast with your fellow mom pals. Until next time, keep shining bright and rocking that mom life. Bye for now. Hey mom, if you have questions on your mom journey, I'd like to invite you to go to momtomommentoring.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and record your question. Starting in July, I'll be taking just a few minutes every Monday morning to answer your mom questions.